I'm here today to update the American people on the incredible progress that has been made in the last 4 weeks since my inauguration. We have made incredible progress. I don't think there's ever been a president elected who in this short period of time has done what we've done. A new poll, in fact, because the people get it. Much of the media doesn't get it. Well, they get it, they just won't write it. Let's put it that way. But a new poll just came out a very short while ago, and it has our approval rating at 55% and going up. The stock market has hit record numbers, and as you know, and there has been a tremendous surge of optimism in the business world. Unfortunately, much of the media in Washington, D.C., along with New York, Los Angeles in particular, speaks not for the people, but for the special interests and for those profiting off a very, very obviously broken system. The press has become so dishonest that if we don't talk about it, we are doing a tremendous disservice to the American people. Tremendous disservice. We have to talk about it to find out what's going on, because the press, honestly, is out of control. The level of dishonesty is just out of control. As you know, our administration inherited many problems across government and across the economy. To be honest, I inherited a mess. It's a mess. At home and abroad, a mess. Jobs are pouring out of the country. You see what's going on with all the companies leaving our country, going to Mexico and other places. Low pay, low wages, mass instability overseas, no matter where you look. The Middle East is a disaster. North Korea will take care of it, folks. We're going to take care of it all. I just want to let you know, I inherited a mess. We have to have a strong law enforcement also. So we do not go abroad in the search of war. We really are searching for peace. But it's peace through strength. At home, we have begun the monumental task of returning the government back to the people on a scale not seen in many, many years. In each of these actions, I'm keeping my promises to the American people. These are campaign promises. Some people are so surprised that we're having strong borders. Well, that's what I've been talking about for a year and a half, strong borders. They're so surprised. Oh, he's having strong borders. Well, that's what I've been talking about to the press and to everybody else. One promise after another, after years of politicians lying to you to get elected. They lied to the American people in order to get elected. Some of the things I'm doing probably aren't popular, but they're necessary for security and for other reasons. I think coming to Washington and pursuing their own interests, which is more important to many politicians. I'm here following through on what I pledged to do. That's all I'm doing. I put it out before the American people. I got 306 electoral college votes. I wasn't supposed to get 222. They said there's no way to get 222. 230 is impossible. 270, which you need, that was laughable. We got 306 because people came out and voted like we've never seen before. And that's the way it goes. I guess it was the biggest electoral college win since Ronald Reagan. In other words, the media is trying to attack our administration because they know that we are following through on pledges that we made, and they're not happy about it for whatever reason. But a lot of people are happy about it. In fact, I'll be in Melbourne, Florida, 5 o'clock on Saturday, and I heard that the crowds are massive, that they want to be there. I turn on the TV, open the newspapers, and I see stories of chaos. Chaos! Yet, it is the exact opposite. This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine, despite the fact that I can't get my cabinet approved. Let me list to you some of the ways that we've done in just a short period of time. I just got here, and I got here with no cabinet. Again, each of these actions is a promise I made to the American people. We've stood up for the men and women of law enforcement, directing federal agencies to ensure that they are protected from crimes of violence. We've directed the creation of a task force for reducing violent crime in America, including the horrendous situation. Take a look at Chicago and others, taking place right now in our inner cities. Horrible. We've ordered the Department of Homeland Security and Justice to coordinate on a plan to destroy criminal cartels in the United States with drugs. We're becoming a drug-infested nation. We've undertaken the most substantial border security measures in a generation to keep our nation and our tax dollars safe. And now we're in the process of beginning to build a promised wall on the southern border. Met with now Secretary Kelly yesterday. And we're starting that process. And the wall is going to be a great wall. And it's going to be a wall negotiated by me. The price is going to come down, just like it has on everything else I've negotiated for the government. And we're going to have a wall that works. We're not going to have a wall like they have now, which is either non-existent or a joke. We've ordered a crackdown on sanctuary cities that refuse to comply with federal law and that harbor criminal aliens. And we have ordered an end to the policy of catch and release on the border. No more release. No matter who you are, release. We have begun a nationwide effort to remove criminal aliens, gang members, drug dealers, and others who pose a threat to public safety. We are saving American lives every day. The court system has not made it easy for us, and are even creating a new office in Homeland Security dedicated to the forgotten American victims of illegal immigrant violence, which there are many. We've taken decisive action to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of our country. No parts are necessary, and constitutional actions were blocked by judges, in my opinion, incorrect and unfair ruling. Our administration is working night and day to keep you safe, including reporters, safe, and is vigorously defending this lawful order. We've also taken steps to begin construction on the Keystone Pipeline and Dakota Access Pipelines, thousands and thousands of jobs, and put new Buy American measures in place to require American steel for American pipelines. In other words, they build a pipeline in this country, and we use the powers of government to make that pipeline happen. We want them to use American steel. And they're willing to do that. But nobody ever asked before I came along. Even this order was drawn, and they didn't say that. Other countries have been taking advantage of us for decades. Decades and decades and decades, folks. We're not going to let that happen anymore. Not going to let it happen. Mike Flynn is a fine person, and I was a little surprised because I said, it doesn't sound like he did anything wrong. But he did something wrong with respect to the vice president. And I thought that was not acceptable. As far as the actual making the call, in fact, I've watched various programs and I've read various articles where he was just doing his job. He was calling countries and his counterparts. So it certainly would have been okay with me if he did it. I would have directed him to do it if I thought he wasn't doing it. I didn't direct him, but I would have directed him because that's his job. And it came out that way. And in all fairness, I watched Dr. Charles Krauthammer the other night say he was doing his job. And I agreed. And since then, I've watched many other people say that. What was wrong was the way that other people, including yourselves in this room, were given that information. Because that was classified information that was given illegally. And that's the real problem. And you can talk all you want about Russia, which was all, fake news, fabricated deal to try and make up for the loss of the Democrats, and the press plays right into it. In fact, I saw a couple of people that were supposedly involved with all this that they know nothing about it. They weren't in Russia. They never made a phone call to Russia. They never received a phone call. It's all fake news. It's all fake news. The nice thing is, I see it starting to turn, where people are now looking at the illegal. I think it's very important. The illegal, giving out classified information. It was, and let me just tell you, it was given out like so much. I'll give you an example. I called, as you know, Mexico. It was a very, very confidential, classified call. But I called Mexico. And in calling Mexico, I figured, I spoke to the president of Mexico. I had a good call. All of a sudden, it's out there for the world to see. It's supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be either confidential or classified in that case. Same thing with Australia. all of a sudden people are finding out exactly what took place. The same thing happened with respect to General Flynn. Everybody saw this. And I'm saying the first thing I thought of when I heard about it is, how does the press get this information that's classified? How do they do it? You know why? Because it's an illegal process, and the press should be ashamed of themselves. But more importantly, the people that gave out the information to the press should be ashamed of themselves. Really ashamed. Yes, we are looking at them very, very, very serious. I've gone to all the folks in charge of the various agencies, and I've actually called the Justice Department to look into those leaks. Those are criminal leaks. They're put out by people, either in agencies. I think you'll see it stopping, because now we have our people in. You know, again, we don't have our people in because we can't get them approved by the Senate. The failing New York Times wrote a big, long front-page story yesterday, and it was very much discredited, as you know. It's a joke. And the people mentioned in the story, I noticed they were on television today saying they never even spoke to Russia. They weren't even a part, really. I mean, they were such a minor part. I hadn't spoken to them. I think the one person, I don't think I've ever spoken to him. I think I've never met him. And he actually said he was a very low member of, I think, a committee for a short period of time. I don't think I ever met him. Now, it's possible that I walked into a room and he was sitting there, but I don't think I ever met him. I didn't talk to him ever, and he thought it was a joke. The other person said he never spoke to Russia, never received a call, look at his phone record, etc., etc. And the other person, people knew that he represented various countries, but I don't think he represented Russia. But knew that he represented various countries. That's what he does. I mean, people know that. That's Mr. Manafort, who's, by the way, who's a very respected man. He's a respected man. But I think he represented the Ukraine or Ukraine government or somebody. But people knew that. Everybody knew that. So these people, and he said he had absolutely nothing to do and never has with Russia. And he said that very forcefully. I saw his statement. He said it very forcefully. Most of the papers don't print it because that's not good for their stories. So the three people that they talk about totally deny it. And I can tell you, speaking for myself, I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. President Putin called me up very nicely to congratulate me on the win of the election. The leaks are real. You're the one that wrote about them and reported them. I mean, the leaks are real. You know what they said. You saw it, and the leaks are absolutely real. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake. So the one thing that I felt was very important to do, and I hope we can correct it, because there's nobody I have more respect for. Well, maybe a little bit, but the reporters, good reporters. It's very important to me, and especially in this position, it's very important. I don't mind bad stories. I can handle a bad story better than anybody, as long as it's true, you know? And of course, over time, I'll make mistakes, and you'll write badly, and I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay when it's fake. I mean, I watch CNN, and it's so much anger and hatred, and just the hatred. The public isn't, they read the newspapers, they see the television, they watch. They don't know if it's true or false because they're not involved, but I'm involved. I've been involved with this stuff all my life. But I'm involved. So I know when you're telling the truth or when you're not. And I see many, many untruthful things. And I'll tell you what else I see. I see tone. You know the word tone? The tone is such hatred. I'm really not a bad person, by the way. No. But the tone is such... I do get good ratings. You have to admit that. The tone is such hatred. People, you have a lower approval rate than Congress. I think that's right. I don't know. Is that one right? Because, I think they have I heard lower than Congress. But honestly, the public would appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. Again, I don't mind bad stories when it's true, but we have an administration where the Democrats are making it very difficult. I want to see an honest press. When I started off today by saying that it's so important to the public to get an honest press, the The public doesn't believe you anymore. Now, maybe I had something to do with that. I don't know. But they don't believe you. If you were straight and really told it like it is, as Howard Cosell used to say, of course, he had some questions also. But if you were straight, I would be your biggest booster. I would be your biggest fan in the world, including bad stories about me. But if you go, as an example, you're CNN, I mean, it's story after story after story is bad. I won. And the other thing, chaos. Because zero chaos. We are running. This is a fine-tuned machine. I guess one of the reasons I'm here today is to tell you the whole Russia thing, that's a ruse. That's a ruse. And by the way, it would be great if we could get along with Russia. Just so you understand that. Now tomorrow, you'll say, she wants to get along with Russia. This is terrible. It's not terrible. It's good. We had Hillary Clinton try and do a reset. We had Hillary Clinton give Russia 20% of our uranium in our country. You know what uranium is, right? The thing called nuclear weapons and other things. And like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. Nobody talks about that. I didn't do anything for Russia. I've done nothing for Russia. Hillary Clinton gave away 20% of our uranium. Hillary Clinton did a reset. Remember the stupid plastic button that made us all look like a bunch of jerks? But I just want to tell you, the false reporting by the media, by you people, the false, horrible, fake reporting makes it much harder to make a deal with Russia. And probably Putin said, you know, he's sitting behind his desk and he's saying, you know, I see what's going on in the United States. I follow it closely. It's going to be impossible for the president to ever get along with Russia because of all the pressure he's got with his fake story, okay? And that's a shame, because if we could get along with Russia, and by the way, China and Japan and everyone, if we could get along, it would be a positive thing, not a negative thing. All those things you mentioned are very recent, because probably Putin assumes that he's not going to be able to make a deal with me, because it's politically not popular for me to make a deal. So Hillary Clinton tried a reset. It failed. They all tried. But I'm different than those people. They all happened recently. And I understand what they're doing, because they're doing the same thing. But I tell you one thing. She tried to make a deal. She had the reset. She gave all the valuable uranium away. She did other things. You know, they say I'm close to Russia. Hillary Clinton gave away 20% of the uranium in the United States. She's close to Russia. Let me tell you about the travel ban. We had a very smooth rollout of the travel ban. But we had a bad court. Got a bad decision. We had a court that's been overturned. Again, maybe wrong, but I think it's 80% of the time, a lot. We had a bad decision. We're going to keep with that decision. We're going to put it in a new executive order next week sometime. But we had a bad decision. The only problem is that we had a bad court. We had a court that gave us what I consider to be, with great respect, a very bad decision. Very bad for the safety and security of our country. The rollout was perfect. DACA is a very, very difficult subject for me. I will tell you. To me, it's one of the most difficult subjects I have. Because you think of these incredible kids, in many cases, not in all cases. In some cases, they're having DACA and they're gang members and they're drug dealers too. But you have some absolutely incredible kids. I would say mostly. They were brought here in such a way. It's a very, very tough subject. We're going to deal with DACA with heart. I have to deal with a lot of politicians, don't forget. And I have to convince them that what I'm saying is right. And I appreciate your understanding that. But the DACA situation is it's a very difficult thing for me because, you know, I love these kids. I love kids. I have kids and grandkids, and I find it very, very hard doing what the law exactly says to do. And you know, the law is rough. I'm not talking about new laws. I'm talking about the existing law is rough. It's very rough. It's very, very rough as far as the new order, and the new order is going to be very much tailored to what I consider to be a very bad decision, and we can tailor the order to that decision and get just about everything in some ways more, but we're tailoring it now to the decision. We have some of the best lawyers in the country working on it. As far as the inner cities, as you know, I am very strong in the inner cities during the campaign. I think it's probably what got me a much higher percentage of the African American vote than a lot of people thought I was going to get. We did, much higher than the people thought I was going to get. And I was honored by that, including the Hispanic vote, which was also much higher. And by the way, if I might add, including the women's vote, which was much higher than people thought I was going to get. So we're going to be working very hard on the inner cities, having to do with education, having to do with crime. We're going to try and fix it as quickly as possible. It takes a long time. It's taken 100 years or more for some of these places to evolve. And they evolved, many of them, very badly. Look, we had a totally divided country for 8 years and long before that. In all fairness to President Obama, long before President Obama, we had a very divided. I didn't come along and divide this country. This country was seriously divided before I got here. We're going to work on it very hard. One of the questions I was asked, I thought it was a very good question, was about the inner cities. I mean, that's part of it, but we're going to work on education. We're going to work on, we're going to try and stop the crime. We have great law enforcement officials, and we're going to try and stop the crime. We're not going to try and stop. We're going to stop the crime. But it's very important to me. But this isn't my divided nation. We went 8 years with President Obama, and we went many years before President Obama. We lived in a divided nation, and I'm going to try. I will do everything within my power to fix that.